Today's video started with a lot of visuals about water usage, and there's a fair reason for that. Today's video is on a really important topic, and I'm sure many people would not know about this when they are first coming to Germany because this is not a very common thing, especially people coming from India. The amount that is particularly allotted for your water usage. Don't miss this section because I had to pay 500 euros last year. Welcome to Bong Journals. My name is Kostov and enjoy the video. Just before we begin, I want to let you know that this is a very important topic and I have tried to go into every detail. So this might be a long video. So I have broken down the video into multiple chapters. If you feel, you can just skip to the particular chapter you are interested in. But again, if you decide to look through the whole video, I can assure you that you won't be disheartened because there is a lot of information in this video and it's really useful information. So if you want, you can watch the full video. This is the meter. The red one is for hot water or warm water and the blue one is for cold water. So it tracks both types of water usage that you are doing throughout the day, and then finally this is supplied to the start work meters. They regularly take in readings from the usage that you are doing throughout the day, and I think this amount is finally paid yearly on an yearly basis by the landlord. In my case, I live in a shared building where there are multiple rooms, so I individually do not need to pay for the water usage that I am personally doing. But what happens is my landlady, she actually pays a certain amount for the whole building, and that is where the next part comes in, your rent amount and the amount that is particularly allotted for your water usage. Don't miss this section because I had to pay 500 euros last year just for not knowing the details about water usage. So keep watching. I just returned to Germany and I saw this letter in my letterbox. This was from my landlady. This is what I found. It said that enclosed you will now receive your utility bill for the billing year 2021, which results in an additional payment of 650 euros and 59 cents. This was absolutely out of the blue for me, and I was actually shocked to find out that I had to pay 650 euros extra apart from my monthly rents, which is quite a lot in terms of the amount. But the thing is that my landlady did something really good. She explained the whole thing with individual, statements. These are like statements the from the city council or the city office that handles the bills and everything. Obviously, I tried to find out why this happened, and after doing a bit of research, I found out that my rent type was warm miete, and which actually includes the some additional costs related to your apartment, like water usage, garbage disposal, and electricity charges for the common areas, things like that. There's a certain cubic centimeters or cubic meters amount of volume of water which you are actually allowed to use per month. As soon as you cross that limit, it will go on adding up against your account, and you will have to finally pay the extra bill amount to your landlady. I did not know this, but yeah, now I know after paying 500 euros extra. My amount was 650 euros, but I requested my landlady that I did not know this, and also the contract was in German, so she granted me a discount of 150 euros on the amount, which was really, really kind of her. And so I had to pay 500 euros. So that is like, 40 euros extra per month if you consider a 12-month period. That is the main topic for today's video, and I would also cover some more important things related to renting an apartment or accommodation in Germany, because I particularly received these questions on my Instagram or YouTube account. And so I have jotted down all the questions, and this video is about answering all these questions on the screen. Let's start with the very first one, the two types of rent that we have here in Germany. So the first one is Kaltmiete, which is cold rent, and the second one is Warmmiete, which is the warm rent. And the warm rent is basically nothing but the cold rent plus the Nebenkosten. So the Nebenkosten is the ancillary costs that I was showing you previously in the letter that I received from my landlady. So they are nothing but cleaning charges, the dustbin cleaning charges, uh, and the water charges, the water that you are using, the property tax, the electricity bill for the common areas, the cleaning charge for the common areas, things like that. So all the maintenance charges for that particular building that you are staying in, these are actually not included in all types of rent amount when you are coming to Germany. So that is something which you really want to make sure when you are coming here, as to which rent you are getting. Because for example, say you get a kalt miete, which is a cold rent, then obviously you will have to pay all these charges extra on top of the rent that you're paying. But usually for student dorms or student apartments, it's usually, in most of the cases, it's warm meter, because the landlord or the landlady is actually renting out his or her apartment or a building to the students, and usually he or she takes care of all these stuff, so you don't need to worry about that. In Germany, the water that they provide through the taps, they are actually drinking water. You can actually just fill up your bottle or glass from the tap and drink it. So it's very high quality water and purified water, and that is the reason they charge so much for the water supply. So you just cannot afford to waste even a single drop while doing the dishes, or you cannot take a very long bath. You cannot do things like that, because every drop counts. And then let's come to the next point. What is the average rent amount in Germany, and what things are included? So I would go personally with my experience first. My rent here is around 300 euros. It's not around 300, it's actually 300 euros. And as I said, the base rent for this studio apartment is 230 euros, and the Nebenkosten, or the ancillary costs, are around 70 euros. Obviously, things like electricity for this room, electricity charges, and internet charges, these are like personal charges or personal expenses which I need to pay, obviously above the 300 euros that I pay. But for the general building expenses, I do not pay anything more than 300 euros. In cities like Lemgo, Detmold, smaller cities or university towns, the student apartments are still available at 190 or 200 euros. But obviously, they are shared apartment. You are actually living with two or three other people. You have a shared kitchen. You have a share, maybe you have two shared bathrooms. So maybe there are four people living, and they are using two bathrooms as common bathrooms. So that is usually the scenario there. And in Germany, there is no concept of boys hostel or girls hostel. I mean, there are some hostels which are specific to girls, but that is really rare, because in Germany and in Europe, people usually live in mixed dormitories and mixed hostels. So keep that in mind when you're getting an accommodation, especially girls who are coming here. You need to keep that in mind, that when you are renting an apartment, a shared apartment, there is a high chance that you might be living with boys. So definitely keep that in mind. And as I said, that rental amounts like 200 or 230 or 220 euros, including everything, uh, is available. But they might be shared apartments, or there might be some things which are not available as part of that rent. For example, I pay 300 euros, but I actually get to use a shared washer and dryer. So that is really convenient. I have heard some of my peers, some of my batchmates who study along with me in the university. They live in a shared apartment. They are paying much lesser rent, but the thing is that they have a common cooking area. They do not have a washer and dryer, which is free. They need to insert coins and things like that. So my suggestion is, when you are getting an accommodation, if you have a certain set of preferences, like my personal preference was, I need to get a single room, a room and kitchen and a bathroom, everything which is for me, which is not being shared by some other people. And I'm sure many people would have priorities like this. So my suggestion is, before getting an accommodation, do clarify everything, every single thing um, with your landlady or landlord before actually signing the contract. Because I have seen people who come here with a certain expectation, and then the expectation is not met, and they usually move out after 6 months to some other accommodation. But that is only when you get an accommodation after 6 months. It's really difficult. So I would suggest, in the very first place, clarify all your doubts. Okay, and then the next one is, when should I apply for an accommodation or search for an accommodation, and how is it related to the visa? Okay, long thing short, there is no requirement for an accommodation or a rental contract when you're applying for a visa before coming to Germany. That is absolutely not required. The embassy or the consulate does not mandate you to provide a rental contract, so don't worry about that. But having said that, I would say that start searching for accommodation at least 3 months before that. So if you're coming for the winter semester in September or October, start searching from July. That is my suggestion, because even I had to search 3 months prior to my coming here in Germany, because uh, getting a rental apartment is really, really difficult in Germany, because there are many students here, many international students, and getting a studio apartment or a student dorm is really, really challenging. So do not keep it pending till the last day or till the last week, because then definitely you would face a problem and you would not get an accommodation. And then, what documents do you need for getting an accommodation? You do not need any document as such, but I think your landlady or landlord can ask you for a screenshot or an image of your scan of your passport. And if you're coming as a student, then the other document that you might be asked for is the university enrollment or admission document, proof of admission, because student dorms or student apartments are usually very low cost apartments, and they are only provided to you if you are a student. Otherwise, you won't be given that discounted price. So that is a very important document. Before you get an admission, you cannot start searching for accommodation, because 99% of the cases you will be asked for the enrollment document. Otherwise, you won't be given a contract. So make sure of that. Okay, and then the most vital part and the most crucial question is, how do I get an accommodation? This is really tricky, because I have seen people struggling for 2 months, 3 months, and not getting an apartment. I personally was really lucky that I got it within 2 months, and that too from outside of Germany. But that is usually not the case. I'll give you three very vital sources which will actually help you get an accommodation. This is from my personal experience, and I think many people coming to Lemgo at least got benefited from this, and I'm sure this will work out for other cities as well, because the process is absolutely same. So the first one is your university. When you are getting enrolled or when you are getting admitted, you usually get a confirmation email from the university, and almost 95 or 99% universities provide accommodation details or accommodation help in the end of the email or somewhere like that, because even they know that we are newcomers to Germany would struggle with accommodation. So usually there are contact person, phone numbers, or things like that. There are even website details, where they provide details of the landlords or the buildings that are actually registered or actually in a tie up with the university. So for these buildings or for these apartments, you need to show that you are actually admitted to this particular university, and then you can, obviously, if there are vacancies, you can get an apartment there. Some universities provide in-house hostels as well, so definitely check out the university email that you're receiving after your admission. That's really important. The second source is existing students. So personally, I am an existing student here in lemgo, and for the past 2 years there have been multiple students, incoming students, who got in touch with me, and I redirected them to certain contacts myself, and I also tried to redirect them to my landlady who provides apartments in this building. uh, some of them benefited from it, some of them did not get an apartment because there were no vacancies, but that is definitely a good source. Even I know certain people, certain students in my university who are constantly helping out newcomers with accommodation, and they have a lot of links here in Bielefeld, Lemgo, Detmold. So if you're coming to Lemgo, if you're coming to THOVL, then and you are not finding an accommodation, you can definitely get in touch with me and I can redirect you to the correct person. The third source is social media. It's really powerful. Get in touch with Facebook groups. Even universities have their own Facebook groups and Instagram accounts these days. And if you're struggling with getting an accommodation and your travel date is coming up, then I would suggest that definitely get in touch in the Facebook groups and social media groups and try to get help. For example, THOVL has a Facebook group where people regularly post about accommodation, and they obviously get help from there. That is the third place that you should definitely keep in mind if you're not getting an accommodation. And obviously, there are some other websites as well, which are also quite helpful. In my case, I got from eBay Kleinanzeigen. That is a very popular website for getting student dorms and accommodations. I will mention the link in the description, and I will also mention some other links to websites who actually provide short-term rentals or student rentals in Germany. Some of them are like Immobilien Scout and websites like that. I have the links here with me. I will obviously post it in the description. So if you are not getting any help from the first three options, you can definitely go and search by yourself in these websites. And another important topic is getting apartments with or without an anmeldung. An anmeldung is a city registration, which is like a mandatory service for every newcomer to Germany. So if you are a non-German and you are coming here to stay, you need to register a particular address under your name within 14 days of your arrival. So that is absolutely, necessary, a mandatory by law. And if you are not doing that within 14 days, then it's illegal. You actually don't exist here in Germany if you're not completing your anmeldung in 15 days. So I have heard people saying that in bigger cities like Berlin and places like that, you actually can get a rented apartment with anmeldung. So that is like, uh, it's not that the anmeldung or the registration is already done and you get inside. It's not like that. What it means is you get the apartment and you get the anmeldung service done for you by some agent or by some organization. So you don't need to go through the hassle of going to the registration office, or maybe you need to go, but you don't need to do the whole procedures, the documentation and everything like that. So that is basically what means getting an apartment with anmeldung. And without anmeldung is definitely illegal. Do not try to do that. You cannot stay in Germany without an anmeldung. And if some agent or some organization is offering you a rent or an apartment which they say that it does not require an anmeldung, then it's definitely illegal. Do not fall into that trap. And finally, the last question, which I received from a certain number of people, that when I come to Germany, if I do not get an accommodation, can I stay in a hotel? You can definitely stay in a hotel, but obviously, I would not suggest that, because, as I said, you have only 14 days to get the city registration done, and that is how you legally stay in Germany. Beyond 14 days, your stay would be illegal, and if you are staying in an Airbnb or a hotel, you cannot register that address under your name, obviously, because that belongs to the hotel. If you're staying in a hotel, you can definitely stay for the first 5 to 7 days, and then move to in the eighth day or the ninth day, you can move to your rented place. That is absolutely fine. There's nothing wrong in that. But obviously, you must move to your rented place within 14 days and get your anmeldung done. That's the primary requirement. I think that's that for today's video. I hope you liked the video, and I hope it was helpful for some newcomers who are planning to come to Germany. And if you have definitely, if you have any questions related to accommodation and all the stuff that I discussed in this video, you can drop a comment and I will definitely get back to you. And until then, you can subscribe to my channel for more videos like this, and like this video and share this video, and I'll see you in the next one.